Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Bexar County Court of Law number 6 in the Bexar County Veterans Treatment Court. I'm Judge Wayne Christian, and let's see what we're doing with this. And our ADAs for the day are Mr. Edgar Villarreal, Mr. Arthur Reed, and Judge Lorena Rummel. The cases I have set for plea today are cause 678-372, State of Texas versus Cindy Dornatis, represented by Miss Karen Corby. Miss Corby, are you ready to proceed?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you. I have case number 604-838 and 625-390, State of Texas versus Rudy Castillo. My understanding is cause 625-390 will be taken into consideration for the plea on cause 604-838. Is that correct, Mr. De La Paz?
It is, Your Honor.
Are you ready to proceed, sir?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you. I have two cases, cause number 640-976 and 652-179, State of Texas versus Michael Rhodes, represented by Mr. Hector Gonzalez. And we have Mr. Gonzalez with us today. Oh, we have Ms. Espinosa.
Yes, I'm back, Your Honor. Good afternoon.
Marina, are you ready to proceed?
We are, Your Honor. Thank you.
And last but not least, I have cause 678-054, State of Texas versus Daniel Huerta, represented by Miss Angela Blake. Miss Blake, are you ready to proceed?
Yes.
And Pat, did you, there's no interpreter today, correct?
No, we don't need one. That one was reset, Your Honor.
Why were our sign-in numbers different than normal?
Because we had the interpreter and that when I created it, I had to have it.
I've got you. Okay.
Judge, may I give my spiel?
Please so do. That would be wonderful.
All right, everybody, good afternoon. Is there currently anyone getting ready to plea that currently resides outside of Bexar County or outside of the state of Texas or intends on moving outside of Bexar County or outside the state of Texas? If so, wave at me. Anyone? Anyone? Awesome. Okay. After you have your plea today and you are placed on probation, probation will be contacting you via email or text message or telephone to advise you of when your orientation will be. Your orientation will be on Zoom, just like it is today. And then they will send you your documents through Adobe Sign, just like you did for this hearing. If you have not heard from the probation department, by the time you wake up next Wednesday morning, you need to call the intake department and advise them that you need a orientation appointment. That phone number, it is in the chat section, and I will also give it to you. It is 210-335-7446. Okay? So if you haven't heard from anybody by Wednesday morning, when you wake up, maybe like by 10 o'clock, then give them a call. It is your responsibility to make sure that you sign these conditions of probation. Your failure to do so will result in the judge issuing a warrant for your arrest and you being right back here and probably not having as good of an outcome as what you're going to get today. Okay? Does anyone have any questions about probation? Okay, thank you for your time. Thank you, Judge.
You bet.
Good luck, everyone.
Ladies and gentlemen, the first document I'm looking at on each of your cases is entitled Defendant's Consent to Plea by Video Conference that purports to have both the defendant and the attorney's signature on it. In fact, Mr. Orantes, in cause 678-372, is this your signature on this document, ma'am?
Yes, Your Honor.
And Ms. Corby, as attorney for Mr. Orantes, is this your signature on this document?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you. And in cause 604-838, Mr. Castillo, is this your signature on this document, sir?
You're muted, sir. Okay.
You need to turn your mic. There you go, sir. You're good.
Okay, yes, Your Honor.
Is this your signature on this document, sir?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you, sir. And Mr. De La Paz, as attorney for Mr. Castillo, is this also your signature on this document?
It is, Your Honor.
Thank you. Mr. Rhodes, I have two documents for you, one in cause 640-976 and one in cause 652-179. In fact, is this your signature on both of these documents, sir?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you. And Ms. Espinosa, as attorney for Mr. Rhodes in both cases, is this also your signature on each of these documents?
Actually, Your Honor, that's going to be Hector's signature.
Okay, well, you can identify Hector's signature as your trial partner, correct?
Yes, Your Honor, I sure can.
Okay, done deal. And Mr. Huerta, on cause 678-054, is this your signature on this document, sir?
Yes, Your Honor.
And Ms. Blake, as attorney for Mr. Huerta, is this also your signature on this document?
Yes, Judge.
Thank you. The next document I have is entitled Defendant's Waiver of Constitutional Rights and Court's Admonitions that purports to have your signatures on the back, effectively waiving certain constitutional rights you must waive in order to enter a plea before this court. In fact, Mr. Antes, is this your signature on this document also, ma'am?
Yes, Your Honor.
And Mr. Castillo, is this also your signature on this document?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you. And Mr. Rhodes, is this your signature on both documents, one in cause 640976 and one in cause 652179?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you. And Mr. Huerta, is this your signature on this document, sir?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you. By signing this document, are each of you telling me that you've had enough time to either read this document or have it read to you in its entirety? If you had any questions about what was on this document, those questions were answered to your satisfaction by your attorneys. So in signing this document, you're telling me that you agree with and understand everything on this document. Is that correct, Mr. Antes?
Yes, Your Honor.
Is that correct, Mr. Castillo?
Yes, Your Honor.
Is that correct, Mr. Rhodes, in both cases?
Yes, Your Honor.
And is that correct, Mr. Huerta?
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Corby, as attorney for Mr. Antes, have you had enough time to go over this case with her? And in your opinion, is she mentally competent?
Yes and yes.
Same question for Mr. De La Paz as attorney for Mr. Castillo.
Yes, Your Honor.
Same question for Ms. Espinosa as attorney for Mr. Rhodes in both cases.
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you. Same question for Ms. Blake as attorney for Mr. Huerta.
Yes, Judge.
Mr. Antes, are you a United States citizen, ma'am?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you. Same question for Mr. Castillo.
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you. Same question for Mr. Rhodes in both cases.
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you, sir. Same question for Mr. Huerta.
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Corby, as attorney for Mr. Antes, has the state fully complied with discovery for you on this case?
I believe so, Judge.
Thank you. Same question for Mr. De La Paz as attorney for Mr. Castillo.
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you. Same question for Mrs. Espinosa as attorney for Mr. Rhodes in both cases.
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you. And same question for Ms. Blake as attorney for Mr. Huerta.
Yes, Judge.
Okay, let's see what we're doing with Mr. Antes. State, you got a motion.
Yes, Judge. State moves to waive count 1 of the information and proceed on count 2 alone, which is obstruction. The state's offer is 12 months deferred adjudication plus $500 fine, court costs, plus 48 hours of community service, plus DWI education, plus victim impact panel, plus CAT SNP, plus Smart Start Mobile for half the term.
And let me ask you this, Mr. Reed, are we sure in this particular case that the information has 2 paragraphs, one alleging DWI and the other alleging obstruction of a highway, so we don't have to amend it and add a paragraph?
Yes, Your Honor, we checked that.
Fair enough. No objection from the defense. State's motion to waive paragraph 1 alleging DWI and proceeding on paragraph 2 alleging obstruction of a highway is granted. Therefore, Mr. Antes, in cause 678-372 to the charge of obstruction of a highway. How do you plead, ma'am?
Guilty.
And is there an agreement for Mr. Antes? And I believe the state's already given me that agreement. Ms. Corby, is that your understanding of the agreement?
It is, Your Honor.
Mr. Antes, in cause 678-372, the court accepts your plea of guilty to the offense of obstruction of a highway. Although I have enough evidence to find you guilty, I'm going to withhold a finding of guilt, place you on 1 year deferred adjudication probation and sets a $500 fine plus court cost, 48 hours community service, DWI education, DWI victim impact panel, Community Alliance for Traffic Safety New Intervention Program, Smart Start Mobile Home Interlock at 4 blows a day for half the term, which is 6 months, recalling all pretrial services, bond conditions, and prior warrants. Anything further from the state or the defense on Mr. Antes?
Nothing from the state, Your Honor.
Nothing further, Your Honor. I would ask that you reduce her supervisory fees to the minimum. She's
Mr. Antes, community supervision, supervisory fees, and every other defendant in this court are set at the statutory minimum $25 a month.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right. Good luck, Mr. Antes. Thank you, Ms. Corby. Y'all are excused.
Thank you, Judge. Everybody.
Thank you, Judge.
Okay, Mr. Castillo, let's see what we're doing with you. And state you have a motion. Is there a motion on Mr. Castillo? No, it just states the DWI greater than 1.5. Is that correct?
Yes, the state is only proceeding on the first paragraph, waiving the 0.15 paragraph and waiving the open container, proceeding on a DWI Class B misdemeanor.
No objection, Your Honor.
State's motion to waive the greater than 0.15 and open container enhancements are both granted. No objection from the defense. Therefore, Mr. Castillo, to the charge of driving while intoxicated, first offense, how do you plead, sir?
No contest, Your Honor.
Is there an agreement for Mr. Castillo?
There is, Your Honor. The agreement was to reduce this to a Class B. The state is recommending probation. And the period was 6 months probated for a year, but we're opposed to deferred adjudication. There is an application for deferred adjudication. $250 fine. He is a veteran. Defense is going to ask that to be waived. State doesn't have an objection. And alcohol monitoring devices and classes as deemed appropriate by the court. Also, he has a warrant on this case since March 29th, 2021. So the court needs to take action on his active warrants. And we are going to take into consideration the misdemeanor criminal mischief under County Court 625390 with an agreement that he pay the restitution in that case, which is $3,816.18. Defense says they have already paid restitution and they just need to show proof to probation.
Give me the total restitution amount the state is aware of, 3816.18. Is that it?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And state, my understanding is this is an unusual case. Is there some aggravation from the state's perspective? And then I'm gonna want to hear from Mr. De La Paz about his take on what the facts are.
I already submitted the police report and the blood alcohol content and the criminal mischief information to the court. I'm not sure the court had an opportunity to read it. I think the defendant was highly intoxicated and he went onto someone else's property, kind of lives in rural country area. It actually took police a while to find her location. She was pregnant, she was terrified, and he hit her vehicle while he was behind it after going through like a ranch gate and hit her vehicle, turned her vehicle. This entire time she's on 911, terrified and screaming. Then he gets out of his vehicle. She's still very scared. She's on 911 and he proceeds to urinate in the front yard. I honestly think they were complete strangers, probably a misunderstanding, and he was probably highly intoxicated, but that's the aggravating circumstances.
And Mr. De La Paz, do you agree with that synopsis?
Your Honor, I would say yes. Mr. Castillo doesn't remember it, which kind of fits in line with what Judge Romo had just mentioned. But part of that has been explained through his self-medication of alcohol with his PTSD, and it has since obviously followed up. He was, just to refresh Your Honor's memory, he was accepted into vet court. COVID kind of threw all our plans away. Time passed, and so he would have to have reapplied. So this should be a way to resolve the case without having to go through all those. He still does have his contact with his VA. He hasn't been going to the psychiatric portion for a while because of COVID, but does go for treatment, as needed for different various issues. He does still have the monitoring device on his vehicle. That's part of the reason for the active warrant, but he does that, and he's missed some windows, but for the most part, he's been testing since looks like August of 20. From my notes right now.
Is there a reason that Mr. Castillo didn't go on the Smart Start mobile device when I ordered him to go on it, apparently. Is it?
Going
Is
back
this one-
to,
Is this one where Mr. De La Paz said, no problem, I'll talk to the judge, and now we're talking?
I'd love to tell you that, Judge. I just don't know that.
All right, I got it. And what was the fine amount that y'all agreed to, Judge Rummel?
Your typical fine on a Class B, I thought it was $250. Whatever the court deems appropriate.
All right. Mr. De La Paz, I've got a rock bottom $500 fine amount on all DWI type cases. Is that equitable to the defense?
Of course, Your Honor.
All right. Here's what we're gonna do. And then, Mr. De La Paz, is that your understanding of the agreement?
It is, Your Honor.
And are you requesting deferred adjudication and the state is opposed to it? Is that my understanding?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Mr. Castillo, on cause 625-390, the court accepts your plea of no contest to defense of driving while intoxicated first offense. I find you guilty. I assess 6 months in the Bexar County Jail. State, have you got a recommendation on length of time? This is a fairly aggravated DWI.
The term of probation is, certainly up to the court. I would
All right,
ask for
let's do
no
this.
less than a year.
Mr. De La Paz, I'm gonna start with a year. If he does well, we'll leave it at a year. I can always extend him if I have to, but I'm very concerned about the high level of intoxication at the time of this incident. And maybe we can fix that. So that's what this outpatient drug program hopefully will help us do.
Okay. Fair
And
enough.
one other question for Mr. Castillo. What'd you do in the military, Mr. Castillo?
I was a field radio operator with the recon unit here in San Antonio.
In the Army?
In the Marine Corps.
Did you go to the war?
I did, yes, sir.
Where did you go? Iraq, Afghanistan, where?
I was in Iraq.
What year were you in Iraq?
06, 07.
Okay. Thanks for your service, sir.
Appreciate it. Thank you, sir.
All right, 6 months in the Bexar County Jail, probated for 1 year, 48 hours community service, probating all that based on military service, DWI education, DWI victim impact panel, Community Alliance for Traffic Safety New Intervention Program, Smart Start Mobile Home Interlock at 4 blows a day for 6 months, which is half the term. Restitution to Sky Ashlyn Petrozaskowski or her insurance company in the amount of $3,816.18. And I believe defense or Mr. De La Paz, you said you think you have already paid that or you've done something on that already?
Yes, Your Honor. I provided that long ago, even before you accepted into vet court.
What probably happens in these cases is the defendant had an amount of probably plus or minus $500 they had to pay, then their insurance company covered the rest. But sometimes the insurance company wants reimbursement and sometimes they don't care. I don't know what's going on here. So
sure.
That's the amount of the debt. If there's a problem with that, I'll let the probation officer come back and let us all know. Fair enough?
Okay. Fair enough, Your Honor.
And taking into consideration clause 625-390, which is granted, and it shall be dismissed. And that's basically it. What did I miss, State?
I don't think anything, sir, and I will send the dismissal right now to the court. Also, I did a discovery acknowledgement. I'm not sure how the county court does it, but I couldn't find one that had county court information. So if you have a discovery acknowledgement in front of you, Judge, would you please change it to read County Court 6 and not a district court?
I don't think I have one in front of me, but we'll be happy to administratively change that. No problem.
Thank you.
All right. Anything further from the state or the defense on Mr. Castillo?
Your Honor, just the only thing is I would imagine by operational law, the warrant will be recalled now that he's on.
Yeah, and
probation.
we're recalling all pretrial bond conditions and warrants. So we're starting over. Mr. Castillo, you and I started off on the wrong foot if you didn't get your Smart Start when I told you to get it. So from now on, we're starting over and you can pretend you're back in the military. Fair enough, sir?
Yes, sir.
You do good and I'll promote you. You do bad and you're going to have a bad day.
Absolutely, sir.
All right. Thank you, sir. Thanks again for your service. All right. Mr. De La Paz, you and Mr. Castillo are dismissed.
Thank you, Your Honor.
And Judge Rommel, you're also dismissed if you'd like to go wander off somewhere and do something else.
Thank you, Judge. And
All
the
right.
dismissal is coming right now.
All right, thanks. Okay, I got cause 640-976 and 652-179. State of Texas versus Michael D. Rhodes in cause 640-976. Let's see what we're doing with Mr. Rhodes. State, you got a motion.
Yes, Judge. 1 second. Okay, Judge, the state moves to waive the greater than 0.15 enhancement.
No objection from the defense, that will be granted. Therefore, to the charge of driving while intoxicated, first offense. Mr. Rhodes, it cost 640,976. How do you plead, sir?
No contest, Your Honor.
Is there an agreement for Mr. Rhodes and cause 640,976?
There is, Your Honor. It's for 6 months in the Bexar County Jail, probated for 18 months, an $850 fine, but 350 of that is to be probated. Community court cost, 64 hours of community service, which is also to be probated fully for military service. DWI intervention, victim impact panel, CATSNIP, Smart Start Mobile for half the term, $120 to DPS for the labs, and this case is to run concurrent with cause number 652179.
With regard to the $120 reimbursement to the Texas Department of Public Safety, is that for both cases, a total of $120 for both cases, $60 each case?
That's correct, Your Honor.
All right. And Ms. Espinosa, is that your understanding of the agreement?
It is, Your Honor.
Mr. Rhodes, in clause 640,976, the court accepts your plea of no contest to the offense of driving while intoxicated, first offense. I find you guilty. I assess 6 months in the Bexar County Jail, probated for 18 months, $850 fine, probating $350 of that plus court cost, 64 hours community service, probating all based on your military service, DWI intervention program, DWI victim impact panel, Community Alliance for Traffic Safety New Intervention Program, Smart Start Mobile Home Interlock at 4 blows a day for half the term, which is 9 months. In this particular case, a $60 reimbursement to the Texas Department of Public Safety for a lab fee. There will also be an additional $60 on the adjoining case, so there'll be a total of $120 to the Texas Department of Public Safety for 2 lab fees, 1 for each case. This case will run concurrent with 652179, recall all pretrial services, bond conditions, and warrants. Anything further from the state of the defense on Mr. Rhodes in 640,976?
Nothing from the state, Judge.
Nothing from the defense, Your Honor.
Okay, cause 652179 with Mr. Rhodes to see what we're doing. State, you got another motion. Got lots of motions today, State.
Yes, Your Honor. This motion is to waive the greater than 0.15 enhancement.
And
No
once
objections
again,
from the defense.
no objection from the defense. That will be granted. Therefore, Mr. Rhodes, it costs 652179 to the charge of driving while intoxicated, first offense. How do you plead, sir?
No contest, Your Honor.
And is there an agreement for Mr. Rhodes?
Yes, Your Honor. The agreement is for 6 months in the Bexar County Jail, probated for 18 months, an $850 fine, 350 of which is going to be probated. Court costs, 64 hours of community service, which is to be fully probated for military service, DWI intervention, victim impact panel, CATSNIP, Smart Start Mobile for half the term, and $120 to DPS for the labs. This case is also to run concurrent with cause number 640976.
And Ms. Espinosa, is that your understanding of the agreement?
It is, Your Honor.
Mr. Rhodes, in clause 652179, the court accepts your plea of no contest to the offense of driving while intoxicated, first offense. I find you guilty. I assess 6 months in the Bexar County Jail, probated for 18 months. An $850 fine, probating $350 of that, plus court costs, 64 hours community service, probating all of that based on your military service, DWI intervention program, DWI victim impact panel, Community Alliance for Traffic Safety New Intervention Program, Smart Start Mobile Home Interlock at 4 blows a day for half the term, which is 9 months. In this particular case, a $60 reimbursement, Texas Department of Public Safety for a lab fee. There's also an additional $60 from the adjoining case, making a total of $120 reimbursement to the Texas Department of Public Safety for both cases for 2 lab fees. This case to run concurrent with 640976, recall all pretrial services, bond conditions, and warrants. Anything further from the state of the defense on Mr. Rhodes in 652179?
Nothing from the state, Judge.
Nothing from the defense, Your Honor.
Hey, what'd you do in the military, Mr. Rhodes?
I was a culinary specialist, Your Honor.
Did you go to the war?
Yes, sir. 3 tours in 5 years.
Wow. Thanks for your service. I'm glad you're still with us.
Thank you, Your Honor.
I'm not a big preachy guy, but I'm here to tell you, you now have 2 DWI convictions. If you're driving down the road, you've got an empty beer can in your car, you've had 1 beer 5 hours before and the police smell it, they're going to arrest you again and charge you with a felony DWI. And that's not something you want to mess with. And I'm sure Ms. Espinosa
sir.
already told you that, and we'll tell you that again. But from now on, you can't even think about drinking a beer and driving down the road, or they're going to rearrest you, even if you're not even close to intoxicated. You know what I'm talking about.
Yes, sir.
All
Yes,
right.
Your
Good
Honor.
luck to you, sir. Thank you, Claudine.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Your Honor. May I be excused?
You bet.
Okay, thank you. Y'all take care. Have a good day.
And let's see what we're doing with Mr. Huerta. State, you got another motion.
Yes, Your Honor. State moves to waive count 1 of the information and proceed on count 2 alone, which is obstruction.
Okay, no objection from the defense. That will be granted. Therefore, Mr. Huerta, cause 678-054 to the charge of obstruction of a highway. How do you plead, sir?
Guilty, Your Honor.
Is there an agreement for Mr. Huerta?
Yes, Your Honor. The agreement is 12 months deferred adjudication plus $850 fine plus court costs plus 48 hours of community service plus DWI education plus victim impact panel plus CATSNP plus Smart Start Mobile for half the term.
And Blake, is that your understanding of the agreement?
Yes, Judge.
Make sure I get it right. Mr. Huerta, cause 678-054, the court accepts your plea of guilty to the offense of obstruction of a highway. Although I have enough evidence to find you guilty, I'm going to withhold a finding of guilt. Place you on 1 year, deferred adjudication probation, assessed $850 fine plus court costs, 48 hours community service, DWI education, DWI victim impact panel, Community Alliance for Traffic Safety new intervention program, Smart Start Mobile home interlock at 4 blows a day for 6 months, which is half the term of your probation. Recalling all pretrial services, bond conditions, and warrants. Anything further from the state of the defense on Mr. Huerta?
Nothing from the state, Your Honor.
No, Your Honor.
Good luck, Mr. Huerta. Thank you, Ms. Blake. Y'all are excused.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Your Honor.
Take us off with you, please.
Okay, let us get us